Okay, I'm going to make a review for Unit 10. I'm going to run through as many problems as I can. Okay, so these are the formulas that we're going to give you on the test. The axis of symmetry and the quadratic formula. Okay, first one, when you're going to graph, the axis of symmetry, you'll remember, is negative b over 2a. So you want to state what your a and your b and your c are. So a is 1 in this case, b is 6, and c is 1. So the opposite of 6, or the opposite of b, so opposite of 6 over 2 times the a, 2 times the 1, so that would be negative 3. So we have a vertical asymptote, or I'm sorry, axis of symmetry, right here at x equals negative 3. So that's the first thing. And then if we want the vertex, we just have to plug in that negative 3 in for all of the x's. So that's going to be negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3 plus 1. So that would be 9 minus 18 plus 1, and that would be negative 8. So you just put the two together, so that's an x-coordinate of negative 3 and a y-coordinate of negative 8. So we can plot that. So negative 3, negative 8 would be right here. The next thing to find would be the y-intercept, so you can always just plug in a 0 for the x-coordinate, and then it'll be, in this case, if you put a 0 in there and a 0 in for that x, it's just going to be 1. So you really should always be able to find the y-intercept just mentally. So 0, 1, so there'll be a dot right there. And then you can use symmetry, so there's 3 units till you get to the line of symmetry there, and then you can just go over 3 more units. So you're right here, and then just extend your parabola excuse me, to go through those points. Alright, next one. Okay, so really same directions, find the vertex. So the vertex is the negative b over 2a, and then you plug it in to get the y-coordinate. So x equals the opposite of b, so that would be negative 12 over 2 times 2, so negative 12 divided by 4, which is negative 3. So we just take that negative 3 and plug it in. So put it in there for all of those x's. Let's see, looks like it's going to be y equals, that's 9 times 2, so that will be 18 minus 36. Oops. Let me erase that. Plus 7. So that would be negative 18 plus 7, so negative 11. So the vertex will be negative 3, negative 11, and the y-intercept will be 0, 7. So again, just plug in 0 for all of the x's, and it's just always going to be whatever that constant is, really. Okay, the roots of the function are just wherever it crosses the x-axis, so right there and right there. So literally your roots are just stating where it crosses. So negative 1 and 5 are the roots. Write that a little bit neater. So negative 1, oops, negative 1 and 5. Oops, negative 1 and 5. Sorry. Alright, next one, solve by factoring. So this is the easier of the trinomials, so we just make an x and we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be 56. and add up to be 51. And add up to be 15. Sorry, it's a long night. So 8 and 7 are the numbers. So we go right to our double bubble. So x plus 8 and x plus 7, set that equal to 0. And then each of those factors set equal to 0, so you can solve for x. So x equals negative 8, and then this one is going to be x equals negative 7. So 2 good answers. Solve by factoring. This one is not the easier kind of factoring. It's the kind of factoring where you have to multiply the first number times the last number first, and then you can try to figure out what the numbers are. So they need to multiply to be negative 12, and they need to add up to be 4. So it looks like the numbers are going to be 6 and negative 2. So this is the one where we rewrite the middle term using those two numbers. So 4x squared plus 6x plus, looks like minus 2x. So minus 2x, again I'm using these numbers, minus 3 equals 0. Now we created a polynomial of 4 terms so that we could do grouping. So we look to see what the first two have in common, and that would be a 2 and an x. So that would leave us with 2x plus 3. And then we look to see what the last two terms have in common, and they have just a negative 1. And then that leaves us with 2x plus 3 again. Notice they have the same thing in the parentheses, which has to happen. 2x plus 3, we take that out, and then we see what's left. So it would be 2x left, and then minus 1 equals 0. And then we just set each of those factors equal to 0 to solve for x. So we have 2x equals negative 3, and x equals negative 3 divided by 2. 2x equals 1, and then we have to divide by 2, so those are the two answers, 1/2 and negative 3/2. Okay, complete the square, so we're looking for half of 18, so half of that number. 18 divided by 2 is 9, and then we have to square it. So the magic number is 81. Then it says, write the resulting expression as a binomial squared. So this is the part where we just factor it. So this factors nicely as x minus 9 quantity squared. So you can tell that's a stepping stone to completing the square. Solve by taking the square root. So just as it says, so take the square root, both sides. That gets rid of this, so it's just going to be x minus 8 equals plus and minus 11. Then we're going to add the 8 over, that's a minus 8, so we're going to add the 8. So when you add 8, just put it in front, so it'd be 8 to positive 8 plus and minus 11. So that's 8 plus 11, which is 19, and then it's 8 minus 11, which is negative 3. So 2 good answers there. Solve by completing the square. So we're going to have x squared, minus x squared minus 8x plus a nice blank, and 84 plus a nice blank, and we're going to find the magic number. So half of 8 is 4, 4 squared, 16. And now what happens is this on the left hand side is a perfect square trinomial. So it's x minus whatever the square root of 16 is, so that's 4 squared equals 100. and then you take the square root of both sides. So we have x minus 4 equals plus and minus 10, and then we add the 4 over to the other side, so it's going to be 4 plus and minus 10, and you can see the two answers out of this would be 4 plus 10, which would be 14, and 4 minus 10, which would be minus 6. Solve using the quadratic formula, so it's important to state what the a, b, and c are first. So a is 3, b is negative 10, c is negative 8. So we just plug the numbers in, so we have x equals the opposite of b, so make sure you write the quadratic formula somewhere. So opposite of b, so 10 plus and minus the square root negative 10 squared minus 4ac, so times 3 times negative 8. All of that is divided by 2 times a, or 2 times 3, and then just work it out from there. So x equals 10 plus and minus the square root 100. When I look at these, I kind of count the negative signs actually, so negative and a negative, that's going to make it plus, and then I just multiply these three numbers together. So 4 times 3 times 8, that's 96. All of that divided by 6. X equals 10 plus and minus the square root of 196 divided by 6. So 10 plus and minus square root of 196 is 14 over 6. So we're looking at two answers. We have 10 plus 14 divided by 6, which is 24 over 6, which makes 4. And then we have 10 minus 14 divided by 6, which is negative 4 divided by 6, and that reduces to negative 2/3. So negative 2/3 and 4 would be the answers. Okay. Now we get to the applications. So we have anything that goes up and comes down. So at what time does the rocket reach maximum height? So that's going to deal with the vertex. So I'm going to go ahead and just go to the next slide. Well, actually we're just going to do t equals negative b over 2a. So we're just finding the axis of symmetry. So that's going to be the opposite. So we have our A here, our B, and our C. So that's A, B, C. So the opposite of B, so negative 96 divided by 2 times the A, or 2 times negative 12. That's 96 divided by 24. So that should be 4, positive 4. That's 4 seconds. So at what time does the rocket reach maximum height? That's the same question, so it's t equals 4 seconds. Let's see, the next question is find the maximum height. So if you want to find the maximum height, we just have to plug in the 4. So we plug a 4 in. This is function notation. When you say h of 4, that means you're plugging in a 4 for every one of the x's, in this case the t's. So we just plug a 4 in everywhere. And I'm going to grab the calculator for this one. So negative 12 times basically 16, because that's 4 squared, plus 96 times 4 plus 10. 202. Okay. So 202, and that is feet. So that's the maximum height. 202 feet. And that's because it's the vertex. So the vertex of the parabola is 4, 202. It's the highest point that the parabola reaches. When does the rocket hit the ground? Well, that would be when the height is 0. So that's why it's a great application of having to do the quadratic formula, because it's probably not super easy to factor or anything, and it probably doesn't factor well. There is one thing I could do. I could reduce this. I could divide by 2, make the number smaller, but I think I'll just go with it as it is. It'll be pretty big, but I'll just go with it. So t equals negative b, so that's negative 96, plus and minus, wow, this will be big, 96 squared, so b squared, minus 4a, which would be negative 12, times the c, which would be 10, all that over 2 times the a, which would be negative 12. So, definitely be getting the calculator out for this one. So, negative 96 plus and minus square root, let's see, 96 squared, 9216. And then again, I see 2 negative signs, this one and this one, so I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to do 12 times 10 times 4, so 480. All of that's divided by negative 24. So let's see how it's looking here. So I'm going to see what this, so we have negative 96 plus and minus the square root, 480 plus 9216, so that's the square root of 96. Okay, all that's over negative 24, so I'm going to see if that's a perfect square. 96 is not a perfect square. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to do negative 96 plus the square root over negative 24, and it looks like this is about, this under the square root, it's about 98.4, about 98.47. So what we're going to need is we're going to need the whole top to turn out to be negative. So I'm going to utilize the answer that is negative 96 minus the square root divided by negative 24. That's the answer that I'm going to take. So I'm going to do negative 96 minus the square root of 96 equals, and I get negative 194, and I'm going to divide that by negative 24. So I get t equals 8.1 seconds. So that's when it hits the ground. That's approximately when it hits the ground. Okay? So let me know, one-on-one if you have a question about that one. The other one will be negative 96 plus 98.47, and it'll actually come out to be a negative time, which doesn't make sense for this problem, or never makes sense for time. Okay, should be the last application. So we just kind of run through the steps on this one. So we have the 20 feet of fencing. We have the perimeter, so the perimeter's set at 20 feet. We're going to solve this for L. So this is where we get the L by itself. So we subtract 2W. So subtract 2W. So that's 20 minus 2W equals 2L. And then we divide both sides by 2. And if you divide both sides by 2, then that'll be 10 minus w, dividing both of those by L. So that's L all by itself, so L equals 10 minus w, I have to remember that. So L equals 10 minus w, so I'm going to plug that in, 10 minus w, and then the w, I'm still going to just leave that. So this is an expression, so write a function that equals the area of the rectangular rabbit cage, substituting the answer you got from part A. So this is an expression. We can actually multiply these together, so that's 10w minus w squared, and then if we want to put it in order, it would be negative w squared plus 10w, so remember that, so we can answer the rest of the questions. Negative w squared plus 10w, remember that. Area equals negative w squared plus 10w, I think is what that was. So find the maximum area of your function. So now we can find the vertex, which is what we've been doing, the negative b over 2a. So it's w equals, and it's remember the a and the b. So this is the a, it's negative 1, and the b is positive 10. So we're going to do the opposite of b. So that would be negative 10 over 2 times a, which is negative 1. So the width should be 5. So then what we can do is we can plug in 5 into the function to get the y coordinate, or the a in this case. So a equals negative 5 squared plus 10 times 5. So that's negative 25 plus 50. So the maximum area would be 50. And that's 50, if we're talking feet, then that would be 50 feet squared. And this is 5 feet for the width. What are the dimensions? So the dimensions will be 5 is the width, and then we have to go back and look at what our expression was for the length. So we said the length was, I think it was 10 minus w. So that means we can just plug the 5 in right there, and the length is 10 minus 5, which is 5 as well. So the dimensions that will give the maximum area are 5 by 5, and that's feet, 5 feet by 5 feet. So let me write that again. So 5 feet by 5 feet. And if you think about it, if you find the area of that, that would be 5 by 5, which would be 25 square feet, which again is, oops, I gotta go back and fix that. So this is 25, that's a good little check there. Negative 25 plus 50 is 25 square feet. So that's the maximum. And you can tell when you multiply the length times the width, which again they're the same, we get 25 square feet. So that should do it. That is everything that will be on the test. Alright, so one last thing. Oops. Let's see. Good luck. Study.